Am I the a-hole for telling my parents that their transportation wasn't my problem after they gave my car to my brother? Okay, that title is a little clickbaity. It was their car that I have maintained and paid the registration and insurance on for years. They have every right to give it away. My mom doesn't drive, and my dad had his license taken away after a DUI. I live a couple of blocks away from them and work from home. I don't really need a car except for getting groceries and running my folks around. My dad's car was a Jeep Grand Cherokee that was only 3 years old when he lost his license. It was fully paid off, so I just took over paying for insurance and registration. It was nice to have a car for errands and for running errands for my folks. And it was a much nicer car than I would have gotten for myself. My brother was over a couple of months ago, and he was pissier than usual about me getting a free car. He was hollering about how I'm the golden child and my parents give me everything. So my dad told me to give the car back so he could give it to my brother, since it would be fair because I got to use it for free for 4 years. Like I said, it's not my car, and I really don't need one. My brother lives across town, a good 45 minutes away. I live 5 minutes away. My mom called me on Friday a couple of weeks ago to remind me that she had a hearing aid appointment. I reminded her that I no longer had a car. She ended up taking a cab because my brother was at work. My dad called me to ask me to come over and talk. So I walked my dog Bruno over to see them. My dad said that I had 4 years to save up to buy my own car and wanted to know when I was going to buy one. I told him I don't need a car. I'm happy getting Walmart to deliver my groceries because I'm not like my mom and insist on inspecting every stalk of celery before it goes in my cart. Both of us live on a good bus route that takes us downtown if we need to go to the doctor or anything like that. I said I wasn't planning on buying a car. He said he hoped that I'm not expecting him to buy me a car just to run errands for them. I said I do not need a car. I work from home. My clients see me in my home. My salon is on the main floor of my house, and I have a nice basement suite for me and Bruno. I order supplies that get delivered. I order groceries that get delivered. I order stuff from Amazon that gets delivered. I don't need a car or the expense of a car. I told him to get my brother to run them around since he has a car now. My dad had the decency to look embarrassed. He said that my brother took our mom for groceries once and acted like it was a huge imposition and made her cry. So they didn't want to ask him for favors. I pointed out that they could just ask for the car back, but that was also a non-starter. I said that I would not be getting a car, but if he wants, I will split the cost of a car share membership. That way, I can take a bus to the nearest car and use it for a few hours when they need a ride. He agreed, but he thinks I should pay the whole thing. I reiterated that I do not need a car, and that if he keeps it up, I won't even split the cost with him. He thinks I'm being ungrateful and childish because I had an almost new car for free for 4 years. I just roll my eyes now. Edit. I changed a word because my father didn't use it. He just implied it. Also, I stopped paying the insurance on the car, which is still registered to my dad. The registration is paid for the year already. Also, I did use the car for personal stuff sometimes, getting together with girlfriends and going on dates. I don't like men knowing where I live before I get to know them. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You running them around and doing errands was payment for the use of the car. The fact your dad idiotically gave the car to your brother without thinking the repercussions is on him and only him. Your dad should be reminded that the only reason there was a free car available to you was because of his poor choices to drink and drive to begin with. He lost his license 4 years ago, and its return doesn't seem imminent. What did he do? Run over the Pope or something? I've never heard of a drunk losing it for that long. I will split the cost of a car share membership. No, why? This will obligate you to run errands for them again, but this time it'll be more hassle because you'd have to bus to and from the rental place, then drive to them. Your parents don't want to bother your brother who has the car and can help them out much more efficiently, but won't help them. Instead, they'd rather you jump through hoops because you're more, I don't want to say compliant, but yeah, you're more of a doormat than your jerk brother. Heck, your dad thinks you need to cover the whole rental account. That's how much he thinks you owe him, versus your brother who doesn't have to lift a finger. Look, tell your dad. He gave the car to bro. Bro can run his errands for him. You shouldn't have to come out of pocket just to be able to drive them around. If bro doesn't want to do it, then they get the car back to you. Dad pays for its insurance and maintenance, and you drive them around when you have time. I kinda like shopping with my mom. It's our time, and a moment of zen watching her grope fruits and vegetables in a slightly obscene way to pick just the right ones. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to move in with my mom so she can stay in her house until she dies? Long story short, my stepdad has ALS and doesn't have long to live, and he and my mom are relatively young. They live in a double-wide modular home on 15 acres of land. My husband and I are wannabe farmers with not much land. We have sheep, goats, pigs, bunnies, and about every kind of bird. My husband and I own our own house, and it will be paid off in 5 years. We have poured our blood, sweat, and tears into everything we have, and my husband has pounded every nail into this house and our barn. The house is beautiful on the inside and was freshly remodeled a few years ago. I'm very proud of our home. It needs some TLC on the outside, however. The other night, my stepdad said, "Would you guys consider renting out your house and moving in with your mom after I pass away so she can stay in this house? This house is too much for her to take care of and maintain on her own. Since you guys will be renting out your house, you can go back." My husband flat out refuses to rent our house out, as he flips houses for a living and knows firsthand how tenants destroy things. He doesn't want all of his hard work to get trashed like that. And dealing with tenants is not something we want to be burdened with. That would leave us with 2 properties to maintain. The stipulation with us moving in with my mom would be that I wouldn't be able to keep my dog. We would have to pay the taxes, $8,000 a year, put a new roof on it, put new siding on it, and manage the property. Right now, the house is worth $290,600. What makes it worse is that the house isn't in my mom's name. My stepsister and stepbrother are willed the house, and my stepsister's name is on the deed. So if we were to go live with my mom the minute she dies, we are screwed, and we don't want to have a trashed and destroyed house to return to. We also don't want to sell our house and have to start over. We would essentially be raising the value of my parents' house and walking away with nothing, while my step-siblings reap the benefit of it. So we told my stepdad we are willing to do it only if we can buy the house, and we will pay full market value. The house's appraisal is $290,600. My stepdad said, "You won't be able to afford this house." We said, "Yes, we can." He said, "No, you can't. I want $500,000 for it." So I told him no deal, and now he won't talk to us. Am I the a-hole? So you pay and upgrade and your mom lives in it, then his kids benefit? Nope. Tell him you weren't born yesterday. And she has to get rid of her dog too. Don't forget that. OP, they act like they're the ones doing you some sort of favor, but you don't need or want this. Just stay out of it. It is up to your mom and stepdad to sort this out. I wonder if some people confuse a prefab house that comes in 2 halves. Unless you spot the seam outside, you would never suspect it wasn't built on site. I used to see halves driving down the Long Island Expressway. This is exactly the type of house it is. Not the a-hole. Your mother's husband is okay with you losing everything when your mother dies? What a loving man. You might want to tell them they need to sell and downsize before he dies, to make sure his wife is in a situation she can manage once he is gone. Why is nobody asking mom what she wants? Seems pretty ignorant to leave her out of decisions for her future as if she's a damn child. Not the a-hole for telling stepdad to pound sand on his BS offer, but you and your stepdad both suck for how you're treating your mom. Do better. I've talked to my mom about this in length, and she is very set in staying where she is, though my husband and I offered for her to move in with us or buy a house with her together if she wanted. Taking care of her isn't the issue. Losing everything we have for my step-siblings' gain is. Of course you are doing the right thing. Your stepdad is setting you up for long-term failure at the hands of his own children. Trying to gouge you on the current value of his place is a perfect example. Do not allow yourself to be guilt-tripped. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that his sister can't live with us? So this is what's happening. We live in a small 2-bedroom apartment. It's me, my husband, and our toddler. The second bedroom? That's the baby's. There's no guest room. There's no spare mattress. Heck, the couch barely fits in our living room without it feeling like an obstacle course. Then suddenly his sister calls. Says she needs a place to stay for a while. No details. Just boom, she's on her way. She's not asking. She's telling us. Apparently, she got into it with her roommate and can't deal with the drama. Her words. I told my husband straight up no. Not because I don't care. Not because I want her homeless. But we literally don't have the space. Our kid wakes up if someone breathes too loudly near his room. I'm already running on fumes from the night feedings and the 4 a.m. cries. The last thing I need is another adult here adding to the chaos. But get this. My husband says I'm being cold. That she's family. That it's just temporary. I asked how long is temporary. He shrugs. Says a few weeks, maybe a couple of months. No plan. No end date. Just vibes and guilt. I tried to be clear. I said, if she moves in, I move out. I didn't mean it as a threat. I just meant I literally won't be able to function in this house if she's here full time. I'm already stretched thin. This would break me. He looked at me like I'd just kicked his puppy. Said I was forcing him to choose. I said, no, she is. Because who invites themselves to someone else's house without even checking first? Now things are tense. He's barely talking to me. She keeps texting him saying, don't worry, I'll figure it out. But that's just the guilt bait. And honestly, I feel like the bad guy. Like I'm this evil wife keeping his poor sister out on the streets or something. But also, I'm tired of always being the one who bends, who makes room, who shuts up to keep the peace. So yeah, that's the whole messy thing. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. She hasn't been evicted. Unless she is in actual danger, then she doesn't need the help she is asking for. That kind of help is for emergencies, not for not being able to handle the drama, not the a-hole. Yeah, she said she can't deal with her roommate drama. That is not an eviction. She has a place to live. She just doesn't want to. Husband is prioritizing his sister's childishness over his own child and his wife's sanity. Husband is the bad guy, not OP, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Text her and tell her you'll give her more drama than she's getting from the roommate. I just set a boundary. What she does with it is up to her. Last story. Am I the a-hole for saying my mom's husband isn't my dad and saying I never got to meet my dad? My dad died when my mom was pregnant with me, 17 female. She told me about him growing up, and we have little traditions we keep to honor him. She also gave me the name he wanted for a daughter. I always spent time with my dad's family in the summer, and they'd travel to see me or we'd travel to see them when we could. So even though I never got to meet him, I still consider him my dad, When I was 13, she introduced me to James, and they got married when I was 14. To me, James is my mom's husband, but I guess he sees me as his daughter, and he's been hurt for years that I call him James, that I never gave him a dad-like nickname or title. I didn't know about it until we went on vacation last month. My mom and James met this couple, and we had dinner with their family. I was talking to their 2 kids, who were pretty close in age to me, and they asked why I called him James, and wasn't he my dad? I said he's not my dad. He's married to my mom. They asked what happened to my dad, and I told them I never got to meet my dad because he died while my mom was pregnant with me. We talked about other things. But when we got back to the resort, my mom pulled me into my room and asked me why I'd said that stuff at dinner. I had to ask her what she meant because I had no idea what was going on. She said James' face when I said he wasn't my dad, and when I told those kids I never got to meet my dad was heartbreaking. She told me he's been waiting for me to acknowledge him as the dad in my life, and I never do. I told her he's not though. She said I might have been 13 when I met him, but it shouldn't stop me from letting him be the dad who gets to be here for everything. She said as much as she misses dad, she didn't ever want me to deny myself the chance to have one. And I told her I wasn't denying myself anything. Mom got frustrated and left. Then, after we got back from vacation, Mom and James pulled me into a meeting, and James told me how much he'd love to be more to me than James, and how hurtful it was to be rejected as dad, even to strangers who could have easily been led to believe that he was my dad. They said I don't need to always say he's not, or that my dad died. I told him I was sorry that my words hurt his feelings, and my mom said that wasn't a good apology and that it didn't sound like I was sorry I said those things. I said no because James isn't my dad, and I never got to meet Dad. Ever since that afternoon, Mom's talked to me about it 5 different times, and James mopes whenever I'm around. Mom said it really is hurtful to him. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. At the end of the day, he is not your father. Period. You met him when you were 13, old enough to know that he's not your father, and he didn't really play a fatherly role in your life. He married your mom. He had no part in you. That's a stepdad. You are allowed to feel the way you feel. As adults, your mom is failing you. This, if he had gotten with the mom when OP was 1 to 3 years old, I could see why he would be hurt. Because at that point, he would have been raising her for over 15 years and a much more significant impact on her life. But he has only been around a few years. Not calling him dad is incredibly valid. For 13 years, you and your mom both celebrated your father as your father. You've only known James for 4 years. Just because he's present doesn't automatically make him your dad. He may care for you like a dad, but if you don't feel that he's your dad, there's no amount of pushing and guilt that's going to make you change your feelings. On the contrary, all they're doing is pushing you away from both of them. You are going to start, if you haven't already, resenting James's insistence. Your mother also needs to realize that resentment is going to spread to her as well. Unfortunately, I see this as a long-term battle for you. If you get married, there's going to be insistence that James be father of the bride. If you have children, there's going to be insistence that James be grandpa. You might want to remind your mother that you have less than a year before you are 18. Does she want to put a wall up for the future? Not the a-hole. That's going to be so awkward if they think James is going to walk me down the aisle if I ever get married. He's not even a consideration for people I'd maybe ask if I even walked with someone else. Am I the a-hole for financially screwing over my sister after finding out she's close with my ex and his wife? Usually, I wouldn't take personal advice from strangers online, but everyone in my life seems to think I'm a petty, scorned, bitter woman, which I probably am, and I need objective advice. My ex-husband, currently 43 male, and I, 43 female, were college sweethearts. For me, life felt perfect. I trusted him completely. That's why it was so shocking when I found out he was in love with his much younger colleague. She was around 24 at the time. I won't get into the details of how I found out, but the affair was well known at his workplace. When I confronted him, all he said was, "I'm sorry, I tried really hard not to fall for her." He didn't seem sorry at all. It felt like he wanted me to leave him. So I did. That was 6 years ago. Our son was 4 then, and it was the worst time of my life. I honestly don't know how I got through it, and because I was desperate, I wanted him to fight for me, to fight for our family. But he didn't. He was quick to sign the divorce papers and didn't even fight for custody. It was as if he had started a new life and completely erased the old one. It took years of therapy to feel normal again, to stop checking that woman's social media and comparing myself to her. The fact that she's very pretty and charming didn't help. His family loved her, and as disgusting as it sounds, one of our common friends even said it out loud. I don't support cheating, but I mean, look at her. When I told her about the cheating, I guess that's what everyone was thinking. This one was just stupid enough to voice it out. So I had to cut off that group of friends too. They got married 3 years ago and now have a daughter. A picture-perfect little family. The current arrangement is that our son stays with my ex on weekends and holidays, which works fine for the most part. Last week, I found out my sister, 28 female, has been in touch with my ex all these years. That would have been forgivable since they were close when we were married and she saw him as a brother. But she's actually best friends with his new wife, and she kept it from me for 6 years. I only found out because she left her phone at my house and I saw several texts from the wife. When I asked her about it, she just brushed it off and said it wasn't a big deal. I told her she can do what she wants, but I will be cutting her off completely. I was helping her pay her college loans and going no contact. She called me unreasonable and said I'm being petty and unable to move on from something that happened a long time ago. She also said the wife is a lovely person and a good friend. She said she will be screwed financially speaking, and I told her to go F herself. Somehow, my parents agree with her. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. So your sister only cared to have you pay her loans? That's why she kept it a secret, and that's why you shouldn't feel bad cutting her off. She needs to ask your lovely ex and his wife to foot the bill from here on out. Not the a-hole. I know, she clearly chose a side during the divorce, but pretended to be on mine for the money. Your sister doesn't love you. She doesn't care about your pain. I'm realizing that now. I thought I was done with my share of dealing with betrayals, but guess not. Not the a-hole. Anyone who sides with a cheater is probably a cheater themselves. Maybe your sister can ask your ex and his wife to help instead, seeing as how they are best friends. It's strange, and I honestly don't know what level of pretty privilege this is, but no one seems to care what they did. They see two attractive people and act like that justifies everything. The cheating doesn't matter because they're easy to look at. If nothing else, it made it a lot easier for me to cut a lot of people out of my life. Not the a-hole. Sooner or later, one of those perfect people will cheat again, and you can eat some popcorn while all their friends take sides. I don't doubt that. But honestly, this woman worships my ex. From what I've heard, she pursued him despite knowing he was married, and he didn't resist. He's a despicable human being, and so is she. Hopefully their daughter will realize when she gets older why her dad has nothing to do with his other child, and figures out who they really are. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my sister to my wedding after she ruined my engagement party? I, 28 female, recently got engaged to my fiancé Justin, 30 male, and we couldn't be happier. We decided to throw an engagement party to celebrate with family and friends, and I was really looking forward to it. My sister Aubrey, 25 female, has always been a bit of a wild card. She's the life of the party, but can also be incredibly self-centered. The night of the party, everything started off beautifully. We had a lovely venue, great food, and our closest friends and family were there to celebrate with us. However, things took a turn when Aubrey arrived. She was dressed to the nines, and I could tell she was ready to steal the spotlight. As the night progressed, she started making comments about my fiancé, saying things like, "I hope you know what you're getting into," and "you could do so much better." I tried to brush it off, thinking she was just being her usual dramatic self, but then she really crossed the line. During the toast, I stood up to thank everyone for coming and to share how much Justin means to me. Just as I was about to finish, Aubrey stood up and interrupted me. She raised her glass and said, "Here's to my sister settling for less. May your life be filled with mediocrity and regret." The room went silent. I was in shock, and Justin looked equally horrified. I felt my face flush with embarrassment and anger. I quickly sat down, trying to regain my composure, but the damage was done. Guests started whispering, and some even left early. I was devastated. After the toast, I confronted Aubrey in private, hoping to get her to see how hurtful her words were. Instead, she doubled down, saying she was just being honest and that I should be thankful for her tough love. The next day, I was still reeling from the humiliation. I knew I had to make a decision about the wedding guest list, and after discussing it with Justin, we decided not to invite Aubrey. I felt that if she couldn't support me during my engagement, she didn't deserve to be a part of my wedding day. When I told my parents about our decision, my mom was furious. She insisted that I should invite Aubrey to keep peace in the family, claiming that family is everything. My dad was more supportive of my choice, saying that I shouldn't have to tolerate toxic behavior, especially on such an important day. As the wedding planning progressed, Aubrey found out she wasn't invited. She exploded on social media, posting about how I was being a bridezilla and how I was excluding her for no reason. This led to a wave of family members reaching out to me, some siding with her and others supporting my decision. One of my aunts even called me to say that I was being too harsh and that Aubrey just wanted what was best for me. I felt cornered and alone. I thought about reaching out to her to talk things over, but I was afraid it would only lead to more drama. Now, with the wedding just a few weeks away, I'm feeling guilty. A part of me wonders if I should just invite her to avoid further family conflict, but another part of me believes that I deserve to have a day free from negativity. So, am I the a-hole for not inviting my sister to my wedding after she ruined my engagement party? Not the a-hole. I'm a firm believer of actions meet consequences. Don't let guilt trick you into minimizing what she did. That wasn't awkward humor. That was mean. You tried to talk to her afterward and she doubled down. She made her choice, and now you're making yours. She should just be honest and give the sister some tough love. Whoop, there it is. If the sister thought she was just doing the right thing and giving tough love, well, throw that tough love right back in her freaking face and tell her her toast was unacceptable and hurt you both deeply. And since she believes you're making the wrong choice, then she doesn't need to be at your wedding to watch such horrible choices being made. Bottom line, if your own sister just couldn't be happy for you, then she's a drama queen who tried to ruin your moment, and she will not be given the chance to do the same at your wedding. Ruining one event is the limit. Moronic actions have consequences. Inviting her allows her to make more moronic choices. Nope, not today. Stay home with all your stupidity and think about your actions. She is only upset and wants to go so bad so she can pull some BS. Probably object during the ceremony, not the a-hole. Limao, like she's not mad she's missing the wedding. She's mad she won't get a stage to cause drama again. Wouldn't be shocked if she brought a mic to object mid-ceremony LOL. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my entire family I don't love them and never will because I'm the affair baby no one wanted around anyway? Okay, so I'm 15 female, and yeah, I know this might get removed or clowned on or whatever, but honestly, I don't care. I just need to get it out somewhere, because apparently I'm the one who took things too far when I was just saying what we were all already thinking. So, my mom cheated on her fiancé with who also happened to be her best friend's husband. Messy as heck and freaking stupid, yeah, but they all stayed together. Like my mom still married her fiancé. Her best friend stayed with the guy who cheated. Then I was born. I guess I was the crappy cherry on top of that disaster. I grew up with my mom, her husband, and their 2 older kids. They had kids before me. My bio dad stayed with his wife and their kids at their house, and both families stayed weirdly blended. It was like a big performance. One big family with this unspoken rule to never bring up the affair that literally created me until I was old enough. But it was very apparent to me that I was not like the rest, even before they decided to tell me the actual story when I was 12-ish. My half-siblings that I grew up with made it real clear I was other. They never hit me or anything, but I got blamed for everything. If something was missing, it was me. If someone was crying, it was probably something I said. My sister once locked me out of the house and told me I should have never been born. I was 7. When I told my mom, she said I probably provoked it out of her, essentially. She never really protected me. She took care of the basics, fed me, gave me clothes, showed up to parent-teacher conferences when she had to, but there was nothing behind it. Like she was doing a job she didn't sign up for and just wanted to clock out. The only time she got emotional with me was when I embarrassed her, or if other people made her talk about me. Their dad, my mom's husband, was similar. He never yelled or hit me, but he never looked at me the way he did his kids. He never smiled at me, never came to my school plays even though he went to all theirs, never took out on little special trips like the others. If I seemingly messed up, I got lectured like I was a criminal. If they did the same thing, it was just a teaching moment. He never called me his daughter, only by my name unless he had to. The other kids, bio dad's side, mostly ignored me. Not mean, just distant. They barely spoke to me unless they had to. One gave me an old hoodie once, and that was as close to kindness as I got. When I was 9-something, I was officially done with everything. We were at a family birthday thing, and one of the older kids dared me to eat a cookie with nuts in it. I said no, because I'm allergic, obviously. So they smeared it on my face as a joke. I had a full-blown reaction. Swollen face, couldn't breathe, ambulance, the whole thing. At the hospital, my mom cried and said I scared her. But when I told her what happened, she just said they didn't mean it like that. The kid got grounded for 1 weekend. Her husband didn't even come to see me. I knew I didn't love them at all anymore right then and refused to act like I did. I gave everybody the bare minimum of affection and interaction, so it didn't backfire on me, and I just sort of treated them like roommates and neighbors I vaguely knew. Fast forward to last weekend. My mom planned a family healing weekend with both sides of the family. Everyone was there, the siblings, the parents, cousins. It was fake smiles and awkward silences. Then one of my mom's older kids made a snide joke about me causing drama just by existing. My mom laughed. Everyone did. So I snapped on them and told them I don't love any of them and never will. That I'm done pretending to give a flying duck about people who only pretend to care about me. That I'm not family to them, and they're not my family either. They all freaked out. My mom cried and begged me to take it back. Her husband told me I was vile, and that he should have put his foot down with me years ago. The other kids screamed at me for spitting in the face of people who gave me a home. Even my bio dad's kids, who usually ignored me, were upset. One of them told me I was acting selfish and cruel. Now I'm grounded. I am typing this out from my old Fire tablet that my mom forgot to take. My half-siblings keep glaring at me whenever we're in the same vicinity, and my mom's husband full-on stared me down while I was eating breakfast this morning. So that's that. Am I the a-hole for saying I don't love them? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your family sounds genuinely awful. I think you start planning your way out ASAP. Get a job and save up. Then once you find somewhere to go, you pack bags, take all your important documents and go no contact. You deserve better than this. Good luck, OP. I already do odd jobs to save up for college and other stuff. Don't worry. Tell mom that you're done being the sad reminder of her affair and being treated like it was your fault. Tell dad, you should have put your foot down years ago? You mean put your foot down on my neck and put me out of your misery, you mean? What else could you do to treat me like crap? More than you already did. I'm surprised you let me live in your house. Your mother is absolute garbage. So is bio dad. He hasn't bothered to step up for her at all either. Last story. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my boyfriend because of a TikTok prank? I am 21 female and my boyfriend is 19 male, soon to be 20. We had been together for 7 months. My boyfriend is a TikToker and has over 100,000 followers. He does prank videos and basically harasses people in public. I didn't know any of this until shortly before my decision to leave him because he simply never told me. I found out after he decided to prank me. I have a huge fear of spiders and most people are afraid of them in some form, but for me it is a lot more severe. I get panic attacks if I see one. A couple days ago, my boyfriend thought it would be funny to put a large fake spider in the toilet. I wasn't aware there were cameras hidden in the bathroom. As soon as I opened the lid, I saw it and screamed, ran out, slipped on the ground and sprained my ankle. He just walked in laughing. He brought me to the clinic after some convincing, and my foot really was sprained but not badly. Afterwards, he told me about his TikTok, and after I looked, I was shocked. He didn't tell me this in the 7 months of dating him. I asked him not to post the video, but he still did, so I reported it. Still hasn't been taken down. I decided to break up with him, giving him 2 weeks to pack his stuff. I told my family and they think I am overreacting a bit. I honestly am starting to feel like I am. My ankle is still really hard to walk on. Not the a-hole. This prank BS is so awful. Jokes and pranks are only fun if everyone is having fun. This is just straight up torment. You can goof around with your partner without being mean. Yep, pranks shouldn't leave someone hurt or humiliated. If one person's laughing and the other's crying, it's not a joke. My favorite quote on practical jokes has always been, "The goal of a fine prankster should always be to confuse and ideally amuse, but never ever to abuse." I hope you press charges for him having cameras in the bathroom. That puts him in the sex offender category. He's an abuser, TikToks or no. Always leave abusers the first time you encounter abuse. Oh yeah, non-consenting video footage in a private space, filming a prank that ends in personal injury? This dude is lucky if OP only breaks up with him. This is deserving of legal action, both criminal and civil. OP deserves a payout, and the ex deserves criminal charges. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex and his wife that she was the one who was nobody special or important after all? My ex and I broke up 20 years ago when our kids were 3 and 1. The reason was that he made a financially reckless decision, buying a very fancy car that we could not afford, which he took out debt to buy. It put the financial security of our family at risk without telling me. And then he blew up at me for not supporting his decision and wanting him to sell it and pay off the money he borrowed to get it. He told me a real wife would have supported him and screw me for wanting to take away something so special. After our divorce, he had to sell the car anyway, and he blamed me for it. He was nasty to me in every conversation after that, as long as our kids weren't present. He remarried about 2 years after our divorce. He and his wife told me she was the kids' new mom, and that she would be just as important, if not more so than me. More than once they told me I was nobody special or important, and that the kids would have a much better relationship with the new wife. I had to bite my tongue around the kids whenever my ex's wife would be all over them. I hated the two of them. This stuff was never said or done in front of our kids. I would walk away, but they carried on speaking, and they'd approach me anywhere at any time, as long as the kids weren't there, to try and claim that I was going to lose my kids to them. The kids ended up hating her and their dad after a while though, and I was never very sad about that. I think they were always going to have to dislike or pull away from me or him, because my ex and his wife would never have accepted both. They always believed she would come out on top over me and would be the favorite mom, and that I would be called my kids' birth mother. When the kids were in their mid-teens, they asked a judge to let them live with me full-time, and that was granted. They had calls and some non-overnight visitation with their dad that they hated, and now both of them are in college and in their 20s, and they have been no contact with both for a couple of years now. I was recently at the opening of a new restaurant in town when my ex and his wife confronted me over the state of their relationship with the kids. Before they could get too nasty with me again, I smiled and told them that it was not my fault they destroyed their relationship with the kids, and they were wrong about the outcome. Then, I decided to be a little petty and gloated that I guess she was the one who was nobody special or important after all, because the kids certainly never called her their mom. I know what I said was petty and that it was rubbing it in. Maybe it makes me as bad as them, or maybe not. But it felt good after years of putting up with so much from them. Does it make me the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You did the right thing by not engaging as the kids grew up. That's probably a part of why you have the relationship with them and their dad doesn't. Kids hear and learn a lot from what is said and what isn't. Now that they're adults, you can speak your mind. In this case, all you said was the truth. If they don't like it, they'll have to learn to deal with it. It was difficult, and I understand why some parents slip or can't do it. My biggest concern was how much it would impact my kids, and it kept me going even when I wanted to scream at the two of them. Not the a-hole. You bit your tongue for 20 years, while they took every cheap shot they could. You had every right to throw it back in their faces. They deserve a lot worse. Plus, kids can be very observant. I guarantee they knew something was off with their father and new wife, and the animosity they had towards you. This probably added to the resentment and subsequent no contact they both have with their father and her. Hope you were able to rebuild a happy life for yourself. They did. At his house, I would be brought up, although never directly in front of my kids. My kids still heard it, because kids will listen in. And I did. This isn't the life I expected, but it's no less fulfilling. My husband left after 7 years of marriage when I got pregnant with a child we were trying to have. He did not even want custody. I never said a bad word about the man to my child, and it got to the point that in the family therapy I took him to, they told me it was hurting him by not agreeing with him in his negative feelings about his dad, because it felt like I wasn't agreeing with his valid and true observations, and the sadnesses he was experiencing because of his abusive butt. So we did our best to turn my ex into a joke, and laugh about what we can, and console each other for what we can't. I taught parenting and always told parents, you don't need to talk bad about the ex. Children are so much smarter and more emotionally intelligent than we give them credit for. They see it. They know it. There is no hiding from them, and they need to be able to express their feelings safely at all times. Both our husbands did this to themselves. How very tragic for them to not get to love our wonderful kids. Next story. Would I be the a-hole for remarrying my ex, even though I'm going to die? I know this post is morbid and dark, so I apologize for that. I, 36 female, am close to dying. I have terminal cancer and I only have about a year or two left. I've accepted and made my peace with it, and I don't mind openly talking about it. I also have a less than common relationship. My current partner and boyfriend, 38 male, is also my ex-husband. Me and him married right out of high school, stayed together through college, had 3 kids together, 12 male, 11 female, and 4 male. We divorced when our daughter was 3 because of his intense work schedule. It was a lot of heartbreak and pain, but at the time it felt right for both of us, despite that. 2 years after the divorce, I was first diagnosed with cancer, and he reduced his work hours so he could take more time with the kids. And it slowly shifted to him also taking care of me, and we rekindled our romance, but didn't get remarried. I got lucky the first time around and was declared cancer-free at 31. I had my youngest child at 32 and was re-diagnosed at 34. We tried treatments, but it's been recently declared terminal. Please don't feel sorry for me or throw me a pity party. I've gotten to live the life I wanted, and I'm okay with the fact that I'll most likely die before 40. The only thing that causes me any emotional pain is that I won't see my kids grow up and experience life milestones, like graduating, getting married, and having kids. Long backstory, but here's the problem. My partner and I have discussed it, and we want to remarry each other. I want him to be listed as my husband in my obituary. I want him to be able to make medical decisions in case I'm unable to. This one is big for me because of my situation, and so that he can get survivor benefits when I pass. My sister, 38 female, says that it's cruel to remarry him knowing I'm going to die soon, and that if I loved him, I wouldn't have divorced him in the first place, and that by remarrying him, I'm disrespecting the sanctity of marriage by doing it willy-nilly. She also said I probably used my diagnosis the first time around to get his pity love, so he'd get back with me since it resolved the main issue from our divorce. So Reddit, I was wondering if it's really bad for me to remarry my ex? I love this man. We both regretted our divorce and are so grateful that life brought us back together. But now that I'm close to death, we want our love to be legally recognized. If your ex is all in on this, what business is it for your sister to get involved? Exactly. If he's choosing this with full heart, then her sister really has no say. It's their relationship, their choice. And honestly, it sounds like love that's been through hell and back. Not the a-hole. You both are going into this knowing what is happening. I am so sorry. I wish you peace and comfort, and much love from your family and friends. Thank you. That means a lot. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that he isn't in charge in the ER? My husband is still really mad at me for this, and it's been a few days, so I figured I'd bring it here and see what other people have to say. A few days ago, I, female 23, broke my foot by tripping over a really big tree root while gardening. I knew I had broken something when it happened, but I hobbled back inside. I could barely put even a little bit of weight on it, so my husband, 33 male, took me to the ER. For context, my husband isn't the most patient person in the world, and he's kind of nervous around hospitals and doctors, though he'd never admit that. When I was pregnant, he would get nervous just being in the office, and they'd tease him about the feelings of a new dad. But it was really just white coat syndrome, LOL. Anyway, when we were in the ER, he was being expectedly impatient and pacing around. We waited around an hour before I got called back. By then, he was really straining to still be polite. He wasn't rude or anything, but he was just very short with the nurses and other people and didn't say much. When they asked me about my pregnancy status, he interrupted me because of how recently I was pregnant. A couple of minutes later, the nurse asked him to leave. At first he was like, "Why?" And she just said it's standard for a few questions, because they have to give me privacy. He said, "We're married. We don't have or need privacy from each other." She was trying to be really nice and was just like, "It's just standard, sorry." But he wouldn't go until she was like, "I'll literally have to call security if you don't willingly go for like 5 minutes." I eventually said, "You're not in charge in this ER, please go." He was livid, I could tell, but he did go and she asked me really strange questions about my living situation. Everything was fine, and she let him back in. They gave me x-rays and a boot, and we left. Well, my husband was very upset about how the hospital treated us, making us wait and separating a married couple. I know he just hated being there in the first place, and the fact that I said what I said. He hasn't downright said it to me, but he's been so passive-aggressive about being in charge. Generally, I feel like I really do try my best to keep the peace, but I really didn't want security called or anything insane to happen while I was just trying to see if I broke my foot or not. Am I the a-hole for that? He said we are married. We don't have or need privacy from each other. He's been so passive-aggressive about being in charge. I feel like I really do try my best to keep the peace. I really didn't want security called. They believe that you're in an abusive relationship, and you don't recognize that you might be. Yes, his past trauma, or whatever it is that makes him nervous about hospitals, is something he needs to work through, possibly with professional help. OP, the fact that he blames you, the nurse, everyone else, that's not good. When you say he's not the most patient person in the world, does that mean he gets angry regularly over small issues? Or angry regularly at anything? Do you feel you have to placate him when this happens? Does it make you nervous? If so, this is a form of abuse, specifically emotional abuse. I'm not saying your husband is a bad person, but he may well be someone who uses others to emotionally regulate himself, and that's not fair, and may well become worse when you add children into his life. You are not the a-hole. I am worried about you, though. If you think he'd be open to individual therapy, suggest it. Otherwise, start noticing just how often his anger has an impact on you, and if it happens often enough for you to notice, ask yourself if this is the way you and your child want to live. My dad was fairly terrified of hospitals due to some bad childhood experiences as a kid, but if he needed to be there for us, he was there, and he didn't act like a prick. OP's husband is a walking red flag. Your husband gave off the signs of an abuser. The pacing, the irritation, the rudeness, not letting you answer for yourself and refusing to leaving the room are all signs of DV. I think you should really sit with the fact that trained professionals were concerned because of the red flag behavior your husband was exhibiting. You seem to let this roll off nonchalantly and make excuses for him. But you should be thinking about it more. We married. We don't need privacy. Do you see how controlling this is? This is not white coat syndrome. This was a temper tantrum that made the nurse nervous enough to threaten involving the hospital's security. Then he got mad at you. Instead of being apologetic, he blamed you and engaged in passive-aggressive behavior. This man is either extremely immature or he's unable to control his temper. It's probably a combination of both. You need to speak to a therapist. Everything is not okay, and this isn't nervous behavior. Yeah, the "we're married, no privacy" comment really gave me chills too. That's not love, that's control dressed up as concern. Nurses don't threaten security unless the vibes are seriously off. This wasn't just nerves. I hope OP really takes a step back and reflects on how normalized this all sounds to her. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law I'm no longer helping them with their kids? I, 24 female, have an older brother, 33 male, and his wife, 32 female, who I'll call John and Jill. Jill has an 8-year-old from a one-night stand, and 2 kids with my brother, Liam, 3 male, and Beth, 7-month female. So John decided to start his own business after working as a mechanic for years, and most of the time quitting before having another job lined up, and Jill is now a stay-at-home mom with a part-time 2-day-a-week at a bar. Before their 1 year together, Jill told me that she stopped taking birth control without telling my brother because she was ready for his kids and ended up pregnant with Liam. They lived in a tiny studio-type house with 2 bedrooms and ended up moving into our other brother's house to get more room. To give some background, John has not kept a job longer than a year because of bullying, and Jill just seems to think she's the best out there, but was constantly on her phone and just drama. They are renting from our brother Bill, 34 male, and are at least 3 months behind on rent, has been using Bill's truck and not paying either the monthly or the insurance on it, and just expecting everyone to help them. They even started talking about moving out of state, even though they need a whole team of family to make it work. John is also the type of dad that will leave the kids with other people to do his own thing, and acts like he is being bullied for asking him to actually watch his own kids. They now have Beth and decided to surprise everyone that they are pregnant. I'll be honest, when she told me, I looked her and John in the eye and said, "Are you serious? Is this a joke?" They both said no, that they were pregnant again. I immediately got irritated and told them that I wasn't going to have this conversation with them, and Jill ended up getting upset and going to cry in their car. John refuses to get a vasectomy, Jill doesn't want to get her tubes tied, and they don't like the feel of condoms, so they literally just make a wish that they don't end up with a kid. When Beth was born, they asked me to help out of everyone because, and in John's own words, "You are the only one who doesn't have any responsibilities and can drop everything to help when we need it. Just because I'm single and living at home with my parents doesn't mean I have to help. I pay rent, I have a full-time job, and I have bills just like everyone else this day and age. To be honest, I don't really like kids and pretty sure that I won't have any of my own. If I wanted to take care of kids at all times for free, I would just find me a dude and have my own." I ended telling them that I can't help anymore. I have bills of my own, and not to text or call me to ask if I can call off work to watch their kids, or give them money, or buy diapers because they can't afford any until that Friday. I never see my money back, and I get stressed out when I get left at their house with the 3 kids until almost 8 p.m. without payment. Edit. John is making enough to skate by monthly with his business, but isn't making enough to pay off debts. He usually works 2 to 4 days a week depending on the weather, since he works outside in landscaping and usually doesn't come home until around 6 to 7 on the days. Jill doesn't work. Not the a-hole. Instead of giving them money or your time, save up to move out or start the process of getting a new higher-paying career. Focus on yourself and your own work-life balance. You probably want to move out soon. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm betting soon they will need to move in with your parents, just for a couple of weeks. We are renovating our house and I'm taking the attic. I'm paying for my area and monthly rent. I told my mom that if she lets them in, then I'm moving out and not coming back. They will never leave.